All righty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another market update. Hope everybody had a lovely day. And with that being said, dive into the TA. All right, guys. So, newsflash: we have Jackson Hole tomorrow. We'll have Powell speaking at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I don't think the market's going to be doing anything up until then. Now, luckily, that's 30 minutes after the opening bell. So since we had such a tiny range today, since we had this volatile chop here today, and we didn't make a move, I'm going to assume the market was just completely just waiting on Jackson Hole here, and we're about to be making a move after that event. It could happen tomorrow. It could also consolidate tomorrow, I guess, and then make the move early next week. But I do think we're going to have some direction. We're going to have some clarity on which, where we're going on this next move here. We're either going to be breaking down, we're getting a larger sell, or we are going to be getting back above 640 here, and we're probably going to start pushing right back up to highs as soon as next week. But I'd say within 1 to 2 weeks. I'm just going to remind everyone, we just, had that correction right there, pushed up to highs. This very easily can go either direction here. We don't know. You have VIX doing this. All right. It's looking like it wants to break above yesterday's high at 1719 and, start a larger push there. It looks like it's going to do it. But then you also have, SPY over here. We have these 4-hour RSIs just already in oversold territory. We know if we can get back above 640 that, hey, okay, yeah, we probably are going to be moving up. So I'm just going to tell you guys, it's probably the move to not have a bias right now. You can go either direction. I personally took risk off into the event. I don't think that's a bad move. The market wants to do what it wants to do right now, and that's a whole lot of absolutely nothing. They're going to wait on what, Powell is going to be talking about tomorrow, okay? I don't know how that's going to go. You don't know how that's going to go. I'm just putting it out there that it's not the worst idea to, just have little expectations until after that. We're going to get a move, but you still have to break out of this little range. I'm not saying right after or during Jackson Hole right there. You really have to break above 640, or you have to break underneath 632.95 over here on SPY. That was yesterday's low. That's what I'm watching. That's what I think is really going to bring, some clarity here, specifically on QQQ. That's the chart to be watching over here. The weekly chart to be watching is going to be QQQ. We're just going to take that out. We're going to make that. We're going to make this our blue level right there. So we're going to be watching downside over here. And then, on the upside, you watch at 568.45. Really, that level is going to be closer to 572 that we want to get above. But yeah, that's a good first step right here. Break above 568.45 for the bulls. Reclaim the 21 EMA over here. That's why that's the level to be watching. It's right at the 21, guys. Can we reclaim it like we quickly did over here? Maybe. And if so, we might do it tomorrow. And all of a sudden, there's a nice lower wick here on the weekly candle, and we don't take out this last low right there. But we really just got to wait and see. I'm going to point out some things that are looking nice and pretty at the end of this video, but we're just going to keep this short. We're going to go over the levels here on SPY and QQQ real quick. We'll quickly go over the Mag 7 stocks, and then I have some ideas for you at the end of the video. Some stocks that I don't think it's really going to matter what the market's doing. They're holding up on their own as of right now in the past few sessions. So these are the ones that are standing out to me. Those will be at the end of the video. Okay. But yeah, over here on QQ, guys, on the upside, we have 566.06. That is where you rejected earlier this morning. You have 566.06, 568.45, which that's right at the 21 EMA. So that's going to be a big spot. We got to get above there. You're probably going to find sellers there, but you want to get above it. All right. Get above there. We're talking 572.11, 574.63, 577.77, tongue twister, and 583.32. Then, sky's the limit, baby. Sky's the limit. On the downside, we have today's low 560.98, and then the big spot there, if we take it out, yesterday's low 558.84. Take that out, guys. I think we're gonna break 551.68, and I think we might come down to 540. That's where you broke out from over here, and that's where the weekly 21 EMA is. And yeah, now that we have broken out the new all-time highs here, you should expect, and I should expect, and we all should expect, that that 21 EMA test is going to give us a bounce that is going to hold. Is typically how it goes when you break out to a high and test the 21. And I'm just going back and showing you guys. But yeah, that's what we should be expecting if that becomes the case. And, you know, I'm just saying, guys, it still can go either way. You have VIX looking like it wants to erupt. You have SPY and QQ looking like they're on the edge of a cliff, but they still can recover if they want to. You know, things are oversold. Everything has their 4-hour RSIs. Still in oversold territory, so we very well can go either direction. But then you have VIX doing this. You know, 4-hour daily, they don't look all that bad. You got IWM looking bullish, but, you know, I'm just going to say SPY and IWM straight puts all day. You know, short dated, you know, puts as well there. But, you know, mainly the 919 expiration on IWM over here, even though it doesn't look all that bad. This is the second day catching a bit off the 21 EMA. It's looking like it's consolidating in this flag-like manner. And, yeah, it doesn't look all that bad heading into the event. And then, boom, you know, whales are just loading puts all day today and yesterday on these names. And most of the market yesterday as well. Today was a bit mixed, but I'm telling you, you know, IWM SPY straight puts today, you know, that very, very clearly. DIA, I'm still going to say, guys, we know this dip is going to be bought. Keep that in mind. Okay. Don't get all that scared. It's if we get a sell, it has a solid chance of just going how I laid it out for us. We get this quick move down here, or maybe we don't, maybe they don't make it that easy. We'll be watching for signs either way, but, that's the bear case. Okay. You will get bought up within probably, like, you make this move down next week, you get bought up the following week, and within maybe 3 weeks, we're back, you know, up in this area. We're, you know, above where we are right now, 2 to 3 weeks out. That's your bear case. It's not the end of the world. So, you know, just keep that in mind. It will be a buying opportunity when it presents itself. It's going to be a previous all-time high break and retest now that we've broken up and dragged yourself back from the dead. There's going to be that. And by the weekly 21 EMA. Exciting stuff. I know. Crazy. But yeah, that's what we're watching over here on QQQ. SPY, guys, on the downside, 634.66, 633.81, 632.95. Break that. We're watching 631.22 and then 626.28. That's going to be the level to watch if we get under here. I think we're going to come all the way down here. And then on the upside, we have 636.79, then 637.97 today's high. Get above today's high. We got that big level up at 640. It's 639.85, 85, 639.85. But yeah, you get above there. You're above the 4-hour 21 EMA. You get this cloud flipping back to green. You guys see good things happen. Good things like to happen. Okay. Sometimes there's fake outs, but that's why I like just having it on my chart. You can follow along with the, you know, moving averages all you want. But it's just easy on the eyes, baby. That's all it is. That's all it is. Don't rely on indicators, guys. Price action is going to be king. But I'll tell you, you know, it does give you some nice insights there. I like the RSI. I like the moving averages. Those are my only 2 indicators that I follow along with. Other people, you know, they use all types of stuff. MACD, Bollinger Bands, stochastic RSI, all this hot jazz. I like to keep my stuff simple. All right. And that is that. All right. So we're going to go over. Oh, and then on. Yeah, we already went over that. You got that 640 level. And that unlocks upside. I know we have the golden pocket right here, but I do think if we get over 640, guys, I think we are just going to come right back up to all-time highs. I think we're going to be on our way there if we get above 640. So it doesn't have to be the case, but like I know you got the golden pocket here, and we're going to have 642.18 resistance right here. But nah, if you can really reclaim 640, you're probably just going to drag yourself back up to all-time highs. Then we finally do get 650, 655, 660. All right, but it is going to come down to what happens tomorrow and over the coming sessions, because we are, you know, we had a very tight market the last 2 days. Okay, you had a big sell across the board and a big recovery on a lot of names. And you know, I'm serious, guys. You know, NVIDIA, I think it looks like it's going to be coming up. But again, the market over there, it could do whatever it wants to do. VIX looks like it wants to erupt for some reason. While, you know, things don't look all that bad. And this SPY QQ, they really are hanging on the edge of a cliff, okay? There's just some things that make me think, maybe they're about to send it up. You know, Google over here, it's still right underneath all-time highs. Yeah, you know, it would just make sense to push all-time highs there. Amazon, you know, I don't think they're going to recover it all that much off of the 21 EMA here on the weekly time frame. Right there, golden pocket test. Like, it was picture perfect. They brought you right back up to the highs and sold you. I don't think they're going to come and take out this low. But, you know, if the market starts drastically selling tomorrow, if SPY QQ sell tomorrow, it might set the tone for a larger sell. And then I imagine Amazon might get this move under here, and that wouldn't make all that much sense. I think it would make a lot more sense to base out around here and then push all-time highs. So another thing suggests the market might be holding. Meta's back down to all-time highs here. You know, this is a break and retest off all-time highs. But again, you know, things, I don't know, guys. They can really go both ways. They can. I'm telling you, everything we're looking at here today is at this, you know, this crossing roads, okay? And it really can go up or down. I know that sounds pretty silly, and I'm definitely going to get a few comments about it. But, you know, at the end of the day, it is what it is. It is an if this, then that kind of, you know, thing all the time. And right now, oh, you better have that approach because, yeah, you know, that's just how it is. But, you know, I would say, you know, just rule of thumb, be bullish until, you know, yesterday's lows are taken out. And yeah, be bearish if they are taken out. That's all it is, because at the end of the day, we are in an uptrend. This is pulling back after making new highs. We are sitting at the 21 EMA. So I'd say that's a good rule of thumb. Okay, it doesn't mean you have to go crazy and you know, really go crazy on a lot of Friday there. You don't. But I am going to point out some setups I think are probably going to be doing maybe some good things for a lot of Friday. I got you. But yeah, okay, so that's meta, guys. We are sitting right at all-time highs, previous all-time highs. I don't know which way it's going to go from here. Again, 4-hour RSIs, they're all oversold. And today they're actually coming back down into oversold territory. So, you know, to me, I think it makes more sense to push. But again, VIX, you know, is one of our big tools we like to use here. And yeah, you know, it's perking up. It wants to do its thing. Maybe it's going to do its thing for at least a few sessions here. So you got to be open to anything. And that's why this video is going to be a short one. Okay. Yeah, Google, we already went over that. You're bounced off the 21 EMA here on the daily time frame. Underneath 198.16, lose that. And this thing does have a larger correction. You're at least coming back down to 192.61. There you go. Probably. All right. You know, those are the levels. I can't say with certainty, but, you know, I'm going to speak based off my levels. And that's what we got. On the upside, 202.88, you rejected there today. But get above there, we're coming all-time highs, 208.70, and then we're going 210, 212, 215. Apple, guys, it's pulling back. Yeah, we already talked about this yesterday, all right? We're looking for this dip to be bought, guys. You're pulling back into the 21 EMA. I don't care what the market does on this name. Apple it hasn't wanted to move with the market. I know Apple did end up like kind of saving the market and really just, boom, pumping some life back into things over here. But for a long time, it hasn't moved with the market. So I'm just going to say, I think Apple's going to do what I originally expected here. I think it's going to hold the 21 EMA. I talked about this in the weekly update. 220, 225, that's the buy area right there, okay? And then you want to be selling 231, 235. And I don't think you're just going to immediately take out that high. You can, all right? But the last time we had a look like that, that's just how that went, all right? You didn't end up just pushing up like that. Okay, okay. All right, so that's Apple. Microsoft, still going to say this is the ugliest of the bunch, okay? You have 576 support, right there, 488.70. Now, you do have a long ways to go until the week of 21 EMA. So, yeah, this dip is very likely going to be bought. I don't exactly know where, but if we do happen to make it back down to that weekly 21, between there and previous all-time highs, that's where you want to be putting it on. There you go. If we do get it, we'll see. And then, again, guys, MAGS ETF as a whole right here. So, the MAG 7 stocks, we have our breakout. We're just going to mark the zone right there. Okay, we have the breakout level right there, 58.69. This is the retest. So over here, you're breaking retest. You didn't actually retest. You got real close and you held it. Over here, we're coming a little bit deeper. Okay, but I'm just going to say, if you do hold anywhere in this zone, that's not a bad look at all. It really isn't. Again, just broke out the new highs. Regardless, I don't think you're not going through one of these. So get that crap out of your mind. get that crap out of your mind, okay? Fresh new highs. Pull back to the weekly 21 EMA. Expect buyers to be there. Worst case scenario, they don't step in there. And then, they do start stepping there, but the next week you gap down and then boom, we know to buy that. At least I will. No financial advice. You could do whatever you want. But yeah, I'm just pointing out, guys, it will be a buying opportunity there. And in the short term, you guys do know the game plan we just went over on SPY and QQ. If you are a shorter term trader, that is all you really got to do. All right. Don't shame yourself for not trading. If you got an itch, you know, be a button masher on days like today. Okay, it doesn't have to be that way. It rhymes, but it really doesn't. Okay, the market is pretty obvious it was going to be chopping up until Powell. Obviously, it can not do that, but that is the obvious scenario there because that's the market's going to be making a move off that. It might as well, all the market participants, they might as well just wait for it. All right, so those are the Mag 7 stocks, guys. That is that. Number one, TEM, guys, massive base. It's getting ready for a breakout. It's like kind of happening right here, right now. And yeah, if you could break above 78.99, guys, I do think in the short term we get like at least like a 5-point pop or something like that, something like this. But I'm definitely open to a larger move. But I do think 85 plus can come in the short term as soon as tomorrow or early next week if we get that. TEM, I'm just going to point out how how it trades. You open. Right? You open and you pick a direction and you just keep going that direction for the day. That's how it trades. Okay. So if this thing starts falling flat in its face, and let's just say you get down to, if you sell more than 2 points, okay. If you're down more than 2 points on the session, it's probably not going to be bought up that day. Okay. It can, but I'm telling you, most of these times you do pick a direction and you just decide to run with it. And yeah, you know, most of these wicks, I'd say around, okay, you know what? Throw out the 2-point thing, okay? Regardless, no matter what it does tomorrow, I'm just going to tell you, I am looking for the breakout above 78.99 in the short term. There you go. And I will say, about half of these candles, you can see what I'm talking about. They pick a direction, they go with it. If this decides to open, let's say it opens 75, 76, and then pushes through 79, we might be making a big move tomorrow. It might be a 10% day. That's what I'm getting at, okay? If it picks the direction of the bulls, this thing might have a big move. That's all I'm getting at. But definitely want to focus on next month. I think we get 100 plus, and I think it's easy money. TM, big breakout. It's only a $13 million market cap. Yep, 13 bill. This thing can move. It's TM. DKing. All right, this is one that's holding its own. And all these stocks I'm showing you right now, they're holding their own on the market sell, and they still look pretty. DKing. Do you see red candles? I don't. Not at least the past few days here. Market had that nasty sell there. DKing pulled back to the 21 EMA. And yeah, you know, wherever that opening price is, it keeps dragging itself up and closing above that. That's what creates the green candles there. And, you know, the fact that it's doing that, looking so constructive here on the weekly and daily time frame, with the market doing what it's been doing the past few sessions, you know, I'm just going to say, I think this thing might have an outsized move up. I think it might start a vertical move over here. Something just like that. It might head up to 49.57 pretty quick if we can crack 46.64. That is really the big level we want to get above. That's rejected right over here. Get above 46.64, and I think this thing is going to start going. All right, this was your earnings high over there. We're not going to count that. This is your breakout level, 46.64. Confirmation, get above 47.40. You're probably going up to 49.57 straight away in the short term. All right, that's DKing. I like it. Open. All right, Open showed some strength today. It did pull back with the market, but it closed a lot better than, you know, most stocks today. Either way, it's looking pretty above $3.99, above $4. You know, I guess we could just mark out this high over here, above $4.10. This thing is probably going 5+ in the short term. Can happen all at once. Okay, can go straight up without a pullback and have a nice little move like that. Okay, but yeah, we're looking for this thing. Maybe it's about to have a next leg up. That's the vibe it's giving us over here on the lower time frames. I'm just going to say, regardless of what it does in the short term, I think this thing is probably just going to be doing this. All right, like something like that. I don't think it's just going to break out right now. It can. I don't think it's going to. You know, weekly RSI, it has been overbought for some time. You're not coming back into it for the second time here. I think at some point this thing will, I don't know, just base out for quite some time and, you know, print a nice little inverse head and shoulder pattern. You'll put in your right shoulder. You know, not a bad look, but I think it might take some time to develop. So just realize if you are playing this one and it gets up to 5, you want to be taking things off, and then you want to leave some runners in case it breaks 541 and starts a massive move. That's the way to play it. Reddit pulled back to the 21 EMA, guys, as we saw over here. When it did finally pull back to the 21 EMA, it did get bought up pretty aggressively over the coming sessions. You had these nice 5 to 10% moves over the coming sessions. I think that's probably going to be the case over here. I think by next week we make it back up to all-time highs. That is the case over here on all of these red candles very soon. All right, this one, it took 2 weeks. Okay, but these ones over here, when you're running, that's we just broke out the new highs. I don't think it's really going to sell all that much right now. I think we're probably going to catch a bid. And yeah, that could start up tomorrow, and we could have a really sexy close of the week for somehow closed. I don't know. Maybe we get a 10 to 20 point move tomorrow. Put it on your radar. Probably going to be moving up above 230.41. Expected to move back to 253.14, and then I do think we're going 270 plus. That's Reddit. Cypher, out of all of the miners, guys, Cypher is holding its own. You know, I will say CLSK doesn't look bad. MAR doesn't look bad. Riot doesn't look bad just because it's at the top of the range there. But then you come over here to Cypher, and it really doesn't look bad at all. Okay, this solid bullish man in this range here after yesterday's hammer candlestick. If this thing does break above 630, it probably does go straight to $7. So that's something to watch in the short term. It could consolidate just like it, you know, like doing over here. If you push up to that trend line, we don't know. But yeah, if you want to focus on the miners over here, that is something for you. I still do think MSTR over here, it's around its bottom. I don't know if the bottom is in yet. I personally don't think it is. I think we will have that daily RSI get down into oversold territory, and then I will be talking about that one when it happens. Okay, because I do think we're, you know, you're gonna be at that point. You're gonna be able to buy some time, all right, on calls and just sit through this crap. Okay, if we get down to this daily RSI being oversold, I think we're probably either basing out for a little bit and then getting a big, you know, 50 to 60 point move up. You know, this from over here, that, yeah, 50 to 60 point move up, or it's just going to be a V-shaped recovery like over here. Not really sure, but I'm watching for it. And we could be in that basing process right now. Regardless, I'm watching it, and we're going to be watching for one of these big moves around the corner. I just don't know if it happens here or from lower prices, so we got to wait and see for that one. It does start perking up against, we're going to say get above 345. It is, yeah, you know what? This high right here. Okay, it's a little served its purpose there, but you take out 345.50, you might be moving up to 358.50 in the short term, and maybe this is a, you know, one giant base, you know, something like that before a larger push up. Either way, that's what I'm watching for over there. I'm just going to say Iron and Cypher, those are the ones that I think are showing strength right now, and they could see outsized moves. Okay, that's that. Next one, ALAB, ALAB. I think this is going to make its way back up to all-time highs by next week. That is what, along this run, every red candle, you made new highs the following week. I am looking for that to be the case. I don't know exactly how it's going to shape up. It doesn't look like there's any big gaps here on the weekly chart. You know, I'm talking on the last run. I'm not talking about what you had over here to start that impulsive move. Possible, but yeah, you know, either way, I think you're going to have a lot of movement intra-week next week, and it looks like most of these red candles are followed with straight green weeks. So it's probably what we're going to see next week. I'm going to keep it on the radar, and I think 200 plus is incoming. 919 200C, they go 100% on the move up to 200. The 95 200C, they go, I think it's around 200% on the move to 200. There you go. That's what I like. Bullish, guys. Okay. Pretty sure we mentioned bullish in yesterday's video. Yeah, either way, put in a hammer candlestick yesterday. I think this might be like one of these IPOs that gets a big push going, but I will say, yeah, 10 billion market cap. All right, I thought that was going to be 20 billion, but yeah, you know, $10 billion market cap, guys. This thing could still be pumped. This thing might have bottomed out here. I'm pretty sure it has. Above today's high at 70.39, we have 75.49. Get above there, you have nothing till 85. Above there, you have your IPO open, $90, and then the high at 118. I think this might be a big turnaround story, and either way, I think it definitely has the momentum right now, and it's one to keep on your radar. There you go. APP found buyers off of the 21 EMA for the second day in a row here. I think APP, it either comes a little bit lower, sweeps this low next week, and then starts pushing up from there. I think the bottom's in, we're going to push up from here. That's my expectations on this ticker right here. I do think we're sooner rather than later, we're going to make our way back up to 470, 370, and you know, probably within 1 to 2 weeks here. And then, yeah, I do think 500 plus would come shortly after that. Maybe 490 just to play it safe there. But yeah, take out 500. You have nothing until all-time highs at 525.15. That move can happen quick. Slowly and then all at once. There you go, APP. Rocket Lab, guys. I think the bottom for now might be in over here. And it's one I'm paying attention to over here, guys. You know, for a while now, earnings has given us, you know, something to work around. I talked about this beforehand, you know, before earnings. I said, doesn't matter what it's going to be doing. All right. Somehow we have something to go up, you know, off of. Either you get, you know, a gap up and it gets a breakout and you can play the breakout, or you trade flat and then, you know, the thing bases out for a few sessions. Then you break up from that base and then you have your next move, or you sell off of earnings, and wherever that bottom is, that is where, you know, over the next 1 to 2 weeks, that is where you can start, you know, trying to swing it. That is where that usually makes that next move up. So I think that is the case we have over here. You know, over here, you gap down pretty heavily there, and, you know, you got bought up over there. Let me just try and see if I could find any instances. All right, you had a pullback over there. You know, that's kind of what I was talking about. You know, over here, caused the pullback wherever you bottom off of. Okay, once you took out the high, you got a decent move up. All right, so I'm just saying that pullback, and we could keep going back, and you'll see that theme over here. Create the pullback off that bottom. You did end up breaking the high, and boom, you had your next swing move up. So I'm just saying, we just had our pullback here. We might have a bottom in right now. Doesn't mean it's going to be the case, but you know, we could see if yeah, I'd say get about 44 bucks or so. That's around the 21 EMA here, 43.5. Get about 43.5, 44 bucks. We're probably going to make our way back up to 47.72. And that's level to break. That means you're breaking out of this bull flag here. It's not looking all that bad. And yeah, you know, you pulled back pretty close to the 21 EMA. Regardless, this one to keep on your radar. There you go. RKT found buyers off of the 21 EMA today, and now is yeah, I think it might be about to make a swing move back up above 1769. We're talking 1845, and then you have 1979. Rejected here. You pulled back in a controlled manner, might I add. All right. Boom, 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 boom. And now you're sitting on the 21 EMA. I think you're either going to consolidate around here and then push up, or you're just going to push straight back up with an impulsive move like that. I'm not sure which one, but I am looking for further upside on this name, and it's pulling back to 21 EMA, so I thought I'd put it on your radar. Cost. All right, cost. It's now getting that pullback we talked about that, you know, I was telling you guys that it would likely get bought up. You had one over here. You had two over here. Over here, you had one. You had two, and then you got bought up. Okay, so this is we're gonna call this one. It's pretty close to this one over here. We're gonna say this is just all one big pullback. I'm not sure how much it's gonna be selling. I can just tell you, all right, these last two times these happened. Okay, we got the daily RSI oversold, and then it started turning up. All right, once you did that and got back above the 21 EMA, you had these pullbacks get bought. So I do think that is going to be the case here. I'm just not sure if it's going to be one of these moves where it takes out the lows here and then quickly gets bought up all at once, or if it's going to be something that just creates this higher low, maybe around 960, or around, you know, where we are here. I'm not really sure, but I am anticipating it gets bought up. So maybe you don't want to blindly buy it on the pullback. It is one that you can wait for buyers to start stepping back in, and boom, you can ride the momentum on that next wave higher. Just like pullback, okay, you see buyers are stepping in, boom, 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 boom. That's like three lower wicks all off the 21 EMA there. Okay, well, two touching it, but you can see what I'm talking about. And then boom, you started pushing up. You start seeing that on the pullback. Well, we know we probably are about to start pushing back up. You can start paying attention to it. Either way, now it's back on your radar. I gave it to you guys before the breakup over here, and guess what? I'm giving it to you guys again right now. All right, so that is what I'm personally watching over here. You know, I was watching TSM. It did not get, you know, it just didn't get the expected action. It still can get that, you know, 8% move by Monday's close. It can. That is what happened the last it's technically the last 4 times over the past like year that the 4-hour RSI has been down here. Or no. Yeah, you know, just about a year there. It doesn't get hit a lot, but you had an 8% move up off of here. You had an 8% move within a few sessions there. I just got the thing wrong right there. Okay, and then over here, you ended up getting that one. Another about 8% move, and then here was a big boy move up. Regardless, you hit there, and, you know, I just think it's going to come down to the market. That's what I was saying earlier in the video. I know I said it's going to be a short video. Now it's 30-minute video. Look at that. All right. All of our trade ideas, they ended up taking up the rest of the space. Wow. But hey, maybe that's what the people want. You want more time on these individual tickers? You want more time on SPY, QQQ, and the Mag 7 stocks? Let me know down below, guys. Let me know what you want. But yeah, you know, that's what we just went over. That's really all I'm watching right now. ETH over here, guys. ETHA is going to be mirroring this bad boy right here, Ethereum. I do think Ethereum is going to head back up and take out all-time highs. You did not test the all-time highs yet, but I do think that is right around the corner over probably, we're going to say the next 2 to 3 weeks. Cover my butt, but I think it could happen sooner rather than later. You are right off the 21 EMA. This is the thing that's going to be tracking that. This is moving with that. All right. And then this is a higher risk, higher reward kind of name over here. And if that, you know, ETH starts to push back up the highs, this is probably just all at once going to start having these nice, you know, 15, 20% days. So that's something to, once we see this start turning up, all right, once you get your first big day over the coming sessions, we're going to watch it for another big move, because as we could see here, this thing likes to continue. Guys, just because you missed the very start of the move doesn't mean you're missing out on, you know, the actual move. Okay, the starting, it has to start somewhere. Okay, the breakout has to start somewhere, and I'm telling you, you know, this right here alone, that's a 50% move back up to the highs. But if you break out above here, you probably, you know, you're probably going to go 90 plus. I'd say at least 80 plus. But you know, that's what I'm getting at. You could ride the momentum. Momentum, it has to start somewhere. And then the other one I'm saying is over here on Lemonade, but that is one that I don't think it's what I talked about, you know, in yesterday's video here. Now that we have the lower wick, even if it pushed back up, I don't think it's going to be making a big move this week. I just don't. Because of that, none of those trending candlesticks, the big, you know, wide body green bars there, they don't have those lower wicks. So I don't think that's going to be the case here, but I am watching it for that next big push up. I do think it's coming, and this looks really freaking clean here on the monthly, the weekly, and the daily. So I'm going to continue watching it and trying to trade it for that move. I think we're about to catch another big move here on Lemonade. So that is that. But other than that, guys, yeah, you know, just wait and see. SoFi doesn't look all that bad right now. Had a bullish close. Pull out another one for you guys. I'm going to say... Nah, guys, nah. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say nah. There's not really anything that is looking good. UNH didn't have a bad close today. But yeah, nah, keep it with what I was saying. Top watch is TEM. DKing is next. Open. Reddit is a no-brainer. It's very likely going back up to the highs. Cypher, if you want to trade the Bitcoin stocks right now. Ether for Ethereum. BMNR once Ethereum starts popping off. ALAB very likely going to make its way back up to 200 next week. I gave you 919, 200C. They go 100% on that 20-point move. And then the 95, 200C or 190C, they should go about 200% on that move. Bullish is the IPO that's starting to turn around. APP, we're watching for this to either come back down next week, bottom out, start to push up, and then push up, take out 470, 370 within 2 to 3 weeks, or we're just looking for this to have the bottom in and just continue pushing. And then once you take out 444, 444, we're looking for a straight up push to 470, 370, and it's not long until you're at $500. Those are the top watches right now. Cost, I don't know how much this thing's going to be dipping, but I do think this thing is going to make its way back up to highs shortly after this dip happens, within 1 to 2 weeks of it starting, and it's starting. So that's one to watch over here. All right, guys, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's video. All I ask for is a like on these videos. I really would appreciate it. It touches my heart. I appreciate you so much for it. I really do. All right. But yeah, let me know down below if you guys want me to spend more time talking about SPY and QQQ. and the indices and the Mag 7 stocks, or you want to hear more about just what is hot in the market and what is moving. I'll tell you right now, my trade style is I focus on, these stocks that I, give you guys on the end of the videos, okay? But I do know a lot of you guys just trade SPY and QQ all the time, and I do help you guys out with that at the very beginning of every single video. That's where we start the videos with, okay? All right. I appreciate you guys. I'll catch you all in the next one. If you want to come trade with me, that link is down below. And yeah, peace, guys. Peace.